Welcome to our team call. It is May 13th, and Powell Cronin, I'm not giving you a popsicle. Sorry, I'm recording. I'm on a team call. Okay, sorry about that. We just got back from soccer practice, and he thinks he gets a popsicle every time soccer is done. So I wanted to go back to basics this month and talk about just some, the key parts of our business. And we talked last week about inviting, and I think social media, obviously, maybe it should have come first, but the two go hand in hand. If you don't have an active social media, it's really hard to be inviting people because you don't necessarily know where to start. And having a great social media gives you that sort of platform to go ahead and start attracting the people that are meant for you. So the nice thing about Beachbody and coaching is that we're not sharing Beachbody all over the place. We're not selling products. We're not posting a bunch of labels of things. We're really sharing ourselves, and social media is the way we do that. And it's, the goal is really attraction marketing, to be attracting those people that have similarities to us. And having a good social media in place is really the way that you do it. And I know that, we all have different platforms that we like to use, but I think that the basics of social media really come into play regardless of which platform you're using. I will say though, I don't use Twitter or Pinterest or, Snapchat. So I don't know how a lot of those work. So I'm going to be speaking today more from the Facebook/Instagram perspective, which most of us are using now. And I think that what I'm going to tell you about stories really applies to everything. And I think obviously both of you that are on the call are doing these things. But hopefully this just helps give you maybe a guideline or a go by for your daily post. So I just want to give you a little bit of a rundown, I guess, on what's happening with us this month as a team. We have our Rise Above Tribe group that started today, as a fresh start for anybody that really has Beachbody On Demand or Ultimate Portion Fix or anything. You can add people to that. I was going to treat this week like a prep week, so you have a whole week to continue inviting to that. Next week, the Vegan Recover comes out, which is really exciting, and they're coming out with packets for both the whey and the vegan. And then you also have at the end of the month where we put on our calendar a 3-day refresh group, a post Memorial Day. And then we'll start fresh with a new group in June, since our Ultimate Portion Fix group will be wrapping up. Of course, at any time, you can run your own groups, schedule your own groups, add in stuff that you want. You can run a Shakeology group. You can run a free group, whatever works for you. But that's kind of what we put in stone. If you talk to me again, sorry, Mama Bear comes out. So that's just kind of the rundown of what's going on this month. You guys do have certain goals you want to work on. I'm going to be posting this tomorrow, but I want to be opening up more mentorship one-on-one calls on a weekly basis that are just short, 15 minutes. Let's assess where you are. Let's assess your social media. Talk about where you want to go and move forward, because ultimately I think that this business is way more fun when we're working on goals together. We're all seeing success. We're bringing other people in with us. We're making our groups more exciting. And I think you've all probably seen that the team page has been a little flat. The groups have been doing great, especially our Ultimate Portion Fix group. But I want to get that energy going on the team level as well. And so I want to be putting that out there for everyone who has a goal. It doesn't matter what your goal is, but I will be giving little tasks at the end of each call and saying do this for next week. Let's grow your business. And it's going to be really specific on getting you to where you want to be, because I think that ultimately we're all here to work on growing ourselves and growing our business and growing our team and making this more fun and bringing people in. So be on the lookout for that post tomorrow. And then I also got an assistant lined up today for the first time ever that I'm really excited about. And basically she is going to be taking care of, let me go outside, maybe that's better. Taking care of some recognition. Oh my gosh, guys, sorry. I try not to just sit on the bedroom floor because, that gets a little old, but everything's chaos. So she'll be taking care of some recognition. She'll be scheduling a lot of things for us. And I think it'll help clear up some things too, for mentorship calls and for, anything that you guys might feel you want more guidance on. So just feel free to have an open line of communication with me on anything. I'm getting her set up tomorrow. She is in the Philippines, so there's going to be a little bit of a time delay, but I'm pretty excited about giving her some extra tasks to help us as a team and help our groups run more smoothly. So now we'll get into social media 101, and I'm going to share my screen and I will show you kind of what I put together, but I'm going to be adding in a lot of extra information with it. Here we go. All right. So I just put a little presentation here together in Canva. And ultimately, I think we all know, like I said at the beginning of the call, that social media is really our storefront. So like this is really crucial that we show up on social media. If we're not showing up on social media, then ultimately we don't really show people that we have an open business, an ongoing business, and we're coaches. Like we're here to hold people accountable. So if we're not showing up for ourselves and putting that out there on social media, it's really hard to attract the people that we want to attract. It's really hard to gain that trust. And really a lot of this is all about people getting to know you, people liking you, and then people trusting you. And as we talked about last week, if you're sending out invites, a lot of times you're going to be sending out invites based on who's responding to your social media posts. The first thing that person most likely will do is click on your face and look at your active stories. So if you're sending out invites and you don't have any active stories or you haven't posted in a bit, you really haven't given that person a lot of information about you to let them know that you're the person that they should be working with. And I think in this day and age, like I often talk to people on Instagram or Facebook, and they've been invited to multiple things by multiple people. So our goal is to really stand apart. Our goal is to create a great relationship with that person, and it's to let them know who we are right off the bat. And that's why a few things are really important about our social media. And what I put here, because I think that this is going to be the case for like your profile on Instagram, on Facebook, on any platform that you use, and it should be really the topics that you talk about, but you have to figure out those top 5 things that you care about. We did like a month ago a call all about your story, and this kind of plays into it, but a lot of times what you'll see on say like Instagram is when you look on someone's profile, they have about 4 or 5 things listed about them right there. I want you to take time to really think about what those 4 or 5 things for you are, because ultimately that helps you craft posts. It helps you stay on point, like for where you want to focus in terms of attracting people into your business. And it makes things simple. Like if you're planning out your posts on Friday night or your Sunday night, or you're, doing it the night before, if you know, like, okay, I've got these 5 topics. My last topic was about fitness. The one before that was about food. The one before that was about my family. Okay, maybe I'm ready for a coaching post now. And you can go in that natural progression and keep these 4 or 5 topics really at the forefront or storefront on your social media. And ultimately, this is going to be what people are looking at, and they will get to know you based on these 4 or 5 things. So this is your brand. And I think this takes a little bit of time sometimes to think about, because you don't want to be just a Beachbody coach, but coaching has to be a part of what you're talking about, so they know that you have a business that you could offer. You don't want to be a fitness freak, especially if you don't really love fitness, but maybe a part of your brand is, I hate fitness, but I make this work for me because I know I need it. You don't want to be like a walking product either. So you really have to bring yourself into it. So I put mine like family life, coaching, life after law. Like this is a piece that I hadn't really explored that much, but I do think it's really important because I want to connect with other people to let them know, like, maybe you took this path in life and you thought it was going to lead to this thing and it didn't. And now you're searching for another opportunity. And I want that to really be a part of who I am. Then I think another important thing is your take on fitness. So yes, you're like a fitness coach, and yes, you might follow a certain program, but you're going to have your own idea, especially each stage of life, as to what works well for you. Like, is it, I don't really like this, and so I'm doing this because it's the quickest thing I can find? Is it, I'd never really fit into the gym, so I found this thing that I could do at home? Is it like Molly and I, we like to watch like TV shows while we work out? Like, I think that appeals to certain people. Like, I know a lot of people save their treadmill time for a certain show. Well, this is a better workout for them, and they get to do it at home. So those are things that I think are really important to connect with people about. I think when people see like, oh, wait a minute, I can do this at home and watch what I want, like that's pretty cool. That attracts a certain set of people. So I've really tried to incorporate more of that into my social media. And I've noticed I connect with people now about certain shows. Or like, oh, I love that show too. Or, oh, like this is totally like, I would love to do that, because they have an interest in the same things that I have an interest in. And then fashion is another thing. I just like to shop and share that kind of stuff. And I feel like, workout fashion is a part of it, of course, but then like maybe kids stuff or bathing suits or whatever. And that gives another like element to what we do, because it gives you a way to talk about how that's incorporated into our lives. But really, like, the fun part about this is that you really should be able to just share you, and then you're attracting people more organically because you're being yourself. And then it doesn't feel so scary, and it doesn't feel so, I don't know, a lot of us freak ourselves out. We overthink a post and then we just don't do it. When in reality, like if it's about you and it's you sharing you, like you're not going to be for everybody, but you're going to be for somebody, and somebody's going to connect with those things. So I think starting with these top 5 things that you care about is really important. And no, you don't have to stick to that 100%, but making that really kind of your guideline, or, what you tend to gravitate back towards in terms of order is really helpful as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about like frequency of posting. So this will come into play next. And I just want to give a little gut check here. So I have a lot of people say to me, they don't know what to post about. And oftentimes if I dig a little deeper, I find out they're not really following a program, or they're kind of sort of showing up, or they aren't doing any personal development, or they're never inviting people because they're freaked out about it. And it's no wonder, I think, sometimes they don't have anything to talk about because they're not actually doing the things. And I found in this, I hated social media before I started coaching. But once I actually got up and I started doing the daily workout, and I started working on my nutrition, and I started reading a book that was really uplifting, and I started digging into our groups and like showing other people love, it gave me so much more to talk about, because I could talk about like the aha moment I had about something I read, or I could talk about like a breakthrough I had in a workout, or I could talk about how I hated the workout that day, but I still did it anyways because of the groups. Or I could talk about how like I was super excited to help this new person join us and hear their life scenarios. Or I could just show love to somebody like Amber finishing her first 5K this weekend. Like those are things that you can share on your social media. They don't have to be like super salesy, like ridiculous posts, but they would attract someone else because they would see that like, wow, we have this whole other level of substance to us than just working out and posting a sweaty selfie. Like we've moved way beyond that in this world, and I'm thankful for that. But you should have plenty of content to share, and then you should have plenty to invite to if you're doing these right things. Because a lot of times your posts, if they're like, specific to a certain topic, are attracting certain people over and over again. Those people are showing you that they're your people. Like that is speaking to them. So maybe they would love the coaching opportunity for personal development, or maybe they would love our groups for the recognition piece, or maybe they would love, the nutrition aspect because they're struggling there. But those are things that you can find out if you're posting about these things and people are responding to them. It really becomes a lot easier. And I think it's made our jobs a little bit easier too, because I think that the way that social media used to work and posting 4 or 5 times a day and like, just being crazy, it was overwhelming. And this really lets you dial it back to being you authentically and sharing the pieces of this that really speak more to you, and allowing you to bring other people in that need that part too. And you've got something that someone else needs. And if you're not sharing it, then you don't know that. And that's the hard part about this. Like I always get a little heartbroken when I see somebody quit, or I see somebody take a step back. So I'm like, there's so many people out there that are watching you, and they were leaning on you for that accountability or for that inspiration. And then you just stop showing up, and now they don't have that person in their lives anymore. And you can't share this gift with them because you're not doing it anymore. So just make sure you're staying true to the pieces of this that are laid out for you. And I know you hear it all the time, and sometimes it probably feels a little like, got it, yep, move on. Like I've heard it a million times, but really dig deep with yourself. Are you doing it? And if you're not doing it, maybe that's why you're feeling at a loss to come up with certain things to talk about. And I just said, here, do this to be the person you want to become. Like you're showing up today for like the future you, and the things that you said, like I know I heard in our book club this past week, like what your dreams and your goals are. You're showing up every day right now to make those things a reality. It's really hard to keep that in mind sometimes, because it feels like your days are really long, or it feels like it's a really hard thing to do, or you feel like you have to be more vulnerable than you want to be. But if you're being authentic to yourself and you're sharing it, it doesn't feel icky or weird or as fearful, especially as people start responding. So no more, what if I tried? Go all in, show up for you. And oh, Courtney. You will have fun with this if you are doing these things, because if you're talking about what you love, you're going to be showing that you're having fun. And I think that's the important part about it too. And then you'll also be impacting others. So you're not speaking to the masses here. You're working on reaching the one person that this will help. I think sometimes we have a hard time with this because we want to put out like, here's my transformation. I want to take 5 ladies. Show me some love, or drop me a GIF if you want to join me. Well, those posts are fine. Like you might get some likes on them, but you haven't really talked about you or your story or like what this has done for you. So it really gets hard to create a deep relationship with someone. But if you're posting every day about the struggle or the the part of you that, you know, found the self-love, or the part of you that had the personal development moment, like you really have a way to connect with people in a completely different way. And keep in mind that person that might need to hear it, not just everyone. Not everybody's going to need to hear your motivational quote or see your post workout pic, but people might need to see that real specific story, or somebody who's out there struggling might need to hear about how you overcame anxiety that day, or, you know, whatever it may be. So I think that doing this for the future you, and also keeping that one person in mind, which oftentimes you guys is us before we started this, that's who you're speaking to, is going to be really key in letting you attract the right people in this. Okay, I think my slides got a little out of order here. Oh, here we go. Posting frequency. Sorry, I must have skipped over. The recommended posting frequency now really is 1 post a day to Facebook, 1 post a day to your Instagram page. And of course, you could do more. Only like 7 to 8%, I think they say, of your network actually sees a post. So if you feel like your likes are getting lower, your comments are getting lower, it's happening to everyone. Don't fret about that. This is why stories are so important. So 5 to 7 stories a day really is the recommended amount. I think 7, for some reason, was said to be the ideal number. I think 5 has to be your minimum. Obviously, if you could do 7, that's great. And of course, some days for me, it's like 15. Other days, it's like 4. Of course, that happens. But I make sure I just show up every day. And then I would post the stories on both forums if you're using them. Instagram is a little bit more important because you can kind of, I don't want to say manipulate so much, but you can obviously put a location in, you can put hashtags in, you can tag other pages, and that really helps your visibility on Instagram much more than it does on Facebook stories. So if you were going to focus on one, I would say focus there first. And then if you can copy over to Facebook, you can. If you have your Instagram page set up as a business page and you have your Facebook business page, which it requires when you turn your Instagram into a business, you can actually share to both at the same time. Your personal Instagram page, though, I don't believe you can link to your personal Facebook. So you have to like double post those. And then same, if you have an Instagram business page, you can't post to a Facebook personal. So a lot of times I'll end up making my stories on Instagram like organically. And then at 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, oh crap, I haven't posted them on Facebook. But that's okay. It's still new eyes. And I think that now it seems to me that the Facebook story visibility is higher than a Facebook post. So I do try to post there as well. Now, I don't know how this got out of order. I'm sorry, you guys. I went through the 5 things about you, and this is really going to be what a lot of your like substantive page posts are going to be about, these top 5 things you care about. Stories are going to be a little different. So I want you, if you're thinking I'm going to post once a day, to make sure you're posting about each one of your 5 things once a day. And of course, each week you want to put in a call to action at some point. Like I like to do a Monday or Tuesday challenge group call to action, or maybe even Friday. And then on Sunday nights, I usually try to post about coaching every Sunday. And of course, I don't get a lot of responses from my call to action posts, like putting out there that I have 3 or 5 spots open, but it's important to do it, because if people are following you and they want to see that, like, you know that you have something coming up, they need to see that in your posts. And a lot of times what they'll do is if you're sending an invite, they'll go straight to your page and they'll start to look at what you have to offer. So I think putting the invite, or the call to action, if you will, out there at least 1 to 2 times a week is really important. And don't be afraid to talk about coaching. I know a lot of people are afraid of that because they think they haven't gotten a lot of success so far. You can talk about the possibilities of what this offers. You can talk about what it's done for you personally, non-financially, not on the business side always, but maybe you talk about like what it can do. Maybe you talk about your next goal with it. Maybe you talk about other success stories of coaches that you see on other teams or on social media, and all of that is fine, you guys. You have to share, though, that you do have a business opportunity. And I think this is one piece where people often get a little scared. But I think that there are several people out there that are like, wait a minute, you can make money with this thing. And I think that they become more attracted to it whenever they realize that there is income potential behind it. So posting about coaching as much as you're posting about your challenge groups is really key. And who do you want to attract? Are you here to just have a couple challengers each month? If that's the case, fine, you focus more on that. But if you're here to actually grow a longer lasting business that has, greater income potential and greater growth, you're going to have to talk about coaching more, because that's really where the greater income potential comes in. And then I would say on your stories, here are some like daily non-negotiables. So we've said 5 to 7 posts, right? This should get you there. Number one key is a clip of your workout. And I know this makes people feel so uncomfortable at times, but they need to see what kind of workouts you're doing. They need to see the environment you're working out in. They need to see if you're logging in and, seeing a teammate in the morning and showing up. But they got to see you're on some sort of physical journey. If they don't, then they're really confused about why you're inviting them to a group. So clips of your workout are going to be really important. I know with the clips, a lot of times people don't necessarily know, like, I get a lot of questions on how do you do it. I literally just use the hands-free app of Instagram stories, and it gives you like a 3, 2, 1 countdown. It'll go up to, I think, 4 stories of recording, and you can pick which one you like and save it and move on. I don't always post it right away, but I do save it. So a clip of your workout's really important. I've seen people who like to, if you're getting on Beachbody On Demand of your phone, maybe you do the record screen feature and you show like you navigating to your workout. Maybe you show like your TV or I've seen a lot of people do like, here's my gym commute, and they show their feet, like literally walking 5 steps from their Energize to the TV, but something showing that you are working out regularly is going to be really key for your stories. Number 2 is going to be a clip of the product without the product name. And this should happen pretty much every day. Maybe it's Energized. I know I've seen people call it Go-Go Juice, Mama Go-Go Juice. I keep following that one girl that spoke for Fit and Fierce, and she calls it Liquid Get Shit Done. Whatever is your terminology, use it. You guys don't feel like you have to call it what somebody else calls it. Like it's totally up to you. I see somebody else call it Mama Sunshine. I'm like, that sounds way too happy for me. Like, that's not me. I will not call it Mama Sunshine, but I might call it Liquid Get Shit Done. But, pick your product name and make sure pick a product that you want to kind of feature each day and talk about it or reference it, but don't call it by name. So maybe it's you pouring your shake and having it with your kids, or maybe it's you getting your Energize ready and saying, this is how I wake up. Or maybe it's your post-workout, like recover, and you're, talking about how this is going to help with your soreness tomorrow. And call it whatever you want. Just don't have the Shakeology symbol or the, the label of the product or whatever it is, and have that like in front and center, because you want people to ask you questions about it. So that's really important on a daily basis. Number 3 is add some sort of personal value. So you go back to your 5 things, right? Like maybe it's you do your personal development and you see a quote you really like. And so you put a picture of the cover of the book, and then you put the quote that you read that day that really resonated with you, and maybe you put your little personal takeaway next to it. I like to do that because personal development for me is like one of my biggest reasons for being here. It's what transformed me the most, I think, mentally. And so I like to, put a clip of whatever quote I read and talk about what it meant to me. Another thing is maybe sharing a recipe. Like that's a super simple thing that you can do on a daily basis. And people ask all the time, what is that, when I post pictures of food and I don't say what it is. Or maybe it's some sort of nutrition tip or some sort of, tip about how you fit your workouts into your busy day. But something personal is great. I also really like now, if you are listening to a podcast on a daily basis and like you get a nugget of that podcast that you love, you can choose the like screen record on an iPhone, and you can actually record a clip of your like the point of the podcast that you really liked. And that was really powerful. I did that once with Rachel Hollis. But that's some sort of personal value, what speaks to you, because that really, like, people will start commenting back to those things a lot and saying like, wow, that looks awesome. And you can talk to that person about recipes, or wow, that's like, that really hit me, and you can talk to them about working on themselves. And it really gives you some good starting conversations for people. And then number 4, and this is going to be the one that most people probably are the most resistant to, but a bonus challenge, be you via a video clip in your stories. Once people know you, this is how they will determine if they like you. So if you are posting regularly on stories and you're sending out invites based on who's watching your stories, which is my exact process, the first thing that I see that those people do is click on my updated stories. Or if they liked one of my recent posts and it was about coaching and I send them a coaching invite, what are they going to do? They're going to go look at my stories. So if I'm adding some value via a video clip about me, this is how they're going to determine if they like me and or trust me to move forward. And it's a way that they ultimately will figure out who I am. And I really love the fact that like I can be really present on Instagram stories, and I can have people say, we should be friends, or like, you would totally be somebody I'd be friends with, because I know that I've shown up as myself. And stories makes it so much easier. I think stories is way easier than posting on your personal page. I think it's way easier than crafting some big long post. You can go off the cuff. You can really share who you are, what you like, what you do on a daily basis, and you can connect with people over that. And then the other tip about the stories, like if you're posting a clip of your workout, of course, include like a hashtag of, like upper body workout, or sometimes you can use the program name. I don't use it often, but like, I was thinking like 80 Obsession. I think I talked about it last night and I posted that as like a hashtag because I just thought, well, if somebody's out there searching for this and I'm saying I have a new group open up, I'll use that now. If you're wearing certain workout clothes, don't be afraid to tag or like hashtag where the clothes come from. If you have a dog that shows up in your post, don't be afraid to use a tag about that dog. You ultimately start connecting with so many more people that have the same things, and it gives you a way to increase your viewership, which ultimately is a goal, I think, for most people with their stories. And then, same with recipes, like hashtag instant pot recipes always gets like 800 views on a story for me. And I never have 800 views on a story. And if nothing else, it gives me a way to maybe connect, because like last night I made a 21-day fix instant pot recipe. Well, people might start, like I might get a message saying, what's that recipe? And that's a way to start connecting with them. Now, don't overcomplicate this. So I feel like this is the hard part. A lot of us start to think about what will other people think. We start to think about, oh, I don't want to be that vulnerable. I look stupid. We start to think about, I feel dumb sharing these things. Ultimately, you guys, it's all just fear. We're all just fearful of what judgment looks like. Who gives a shit? None of those people are paying your bills. You want to reach people that need what you have. So don't overcomplicate this. What you will become over time is someone who leaves an impression, kind of like a commercial. So I heard this analogy this week, like it takes 7 or 8 follow-ups with someone to get them to like say yes. It's the same thing though with inviting and leaving an impression via social media. You have to show up and show up and show up and show them that you can be consistent. Show them that you're someone that they can trust to help hold them accountable. And after time goes by is oftentimes when you will see that yes come. It doesn't happen right away, but you're going to be building that relationship as you go. So a commercial, typically you have to see the same commercial over and over again before you decide, like, I probably really want that, if you're even watching commercials anymore. But the premise is the same. You have to leave the impression and you have to kind of like put your point in a place where it's constantly showing up for that person and really send it home. Be that person consistently, and over time you will connect with your audience. So I think consistency is the biggest part of this. I mean, your post may not be the prettiest post at first. You might not have the best, graphic or language, but the fact that you're showing up and doing it is going to be what leaves the impression on that person, not what's missing or not what could be better. And I wanted to give some apps to use here. So as I stated earlier, for videos, always just use hands-free Instagram stories. I know that like Heather and I don't know who else would, I know she would do the longer workout video clips. I don't know what she used. Of course, on your phone, you can use like iMovie and stuff, but you have to go in and edit those. I just tend to put my workout clips in my stories. So I just use the hands-free feature on the Instagram Stories app. And then I'll take my video, sometimes photos too, and I'll put it into HypeType, and you can speed it up. You can add music to it, and then you can add text to it. And I like to add music because I just think it makes it more fun. But HypeType is really great, and it's fast and it's simple, and it's a way that you can make your stories for your workout clips a little bit more exciting. Pictures. So obviously on, I think, Facebook and Instagram and the regular feed, the way the pictures look is everything. And I think the biggest problem I see in people's pictures is really lighting. So an app I really like is Lightroom. You can use just their like presets in there and like mess around with the exposure and mess around with the light and mess around with the like green, colors or whatever. But another easy thing you can do also is just to pay for a couple presets. And of course, make them ones you like and make them ones that will fit like what you want your feed to look like. But for example, I just went to like Alexa Jean Fitness and I paid maybe $10, $15 for some presets. And then you can download them right into the Lightroom app. And you literally just copy and paste the actual preset, and then you put it onto your photo. And it makes your photos actually look much more like photography type photos. They look much more beautiful, and you can keep a consistent theme throughout, which is really important on your Instagram feed especially. Another one that I used to use that I really like is Snapseed. You don't buy any filters or presets for that, but it actually has some preset type filters in there, and you can manipulate them, and that's a really good free app. Photo Collage, like if you want to put multiple photos together, is just an easy one. And then Photo Mirror. So sometimes it makes it kind of fun to like reflect a picture or do like, the image in reverse or whatever. Photo Mirror is just a really easy app to use for that too. And then text stories. So we often, with our calls to action on our stories, create 5 to 7 slides that talk about what our upcoming challenge group is going to have. And we often end it with a poll. I typically use something like WordSwag for that. Or there's this new app called Unfold, and you can put pictures and pretty text. I'm not actually spent the time to do it, but I see a lot of other coaches using it, and the stories look really pretty with it. Another thing, you guys, like when you're scrolling, if you follow any coaches that you really like and you see their calls to action and you think they're pretty, you can hold your finger down on the screen and it removes their name and you can snap a screenshot of it. So I have often, I think Courtney, when she was posting about Ultimate Portion Fix, I copied all of her stories and I just use those. Stacy and I steal each other's stuff all the time, like when we pull it from somebody else, because it makes it easy. So don't be afraid to look at my stories, look at Stacy's stories, look at whoever's stories that, will be running this next group, snap a screenshot and save it for yourself, and always put a poll on the end. So I know a lot of people want to get to 10,000 followers for the swipe up feature, but the key thing I really think is if you're going to put 5, 6, 7 stories in a row together about your upcoming group, which I would do on Instagram nearly every other day, especially if I had something coming up, make sure you're putting at the very end, after you tell them everything they're going to get with this and what their transformation could look like, put a poll and don't say yes or no. Do not give them the option to say no, but put something like more info, please, and sign me up, or absolutely more deets, or whatever is your language, because that's the way you're going to start to connect with people too. And then don't just rely on who responds to that to reach out to them. I typically say, if someone has watched 10 stories out of 10 stories I made that day, and the last 5 are about my next group, and they watched every single one, they're going to get an invite from me, because why are they still watching? And I think that's the problem we often have, is we think that people have to say yes before we feel comfortable. But at this point, you guys are in your social media, they're watching what you do, they are basically stalking your social media if they're showing up frequently. You have every right to reach out to them and say, hey, have you thought about joining me in this? That's all you're going to say. It's not going to be some icky, weird thing. And I think that's where we often overthink it. But I think social media makes it so easy, because I'm like, hey, I've noticed you've been following along my stories. I really appreciate it. Would you want to join me, or would you want to get more info on this group that I was talking about? And it makes it very simple to go from there. But if you're not talking about it, you don't have a way to start a conversation about it. So that's what's really key. So I would say, if you are posting about a challenge group on your actual page, make sure it shows up in your stories that day too. Or if you're posting about coaching on your page, make sure it shows up on your stories that day too. And give them a little snapshot of, what they can expect if they sign up with you or if they join you in the next group. And make sure you invite, because that's really key. And I think that the poll feature on Instagram stories and Facebook stories is huge for that. And then you can also do that love meter or whatever. I've just noticed people don't really respond to that as much. And then you can use the questions, any specific questions. Okay, Destiny said you can link your regular Instagram with no business to regular Facebook as long as neither are a business page. Okay. That's good to know. I like having my Instagram as a business page, because I like to see the analytics and I like to see the details of what posting times make more sense. And that goes into a whole other, topic, but that's something to keep in mind for later. So I think a lot of times people come into this and they feel like I need to get multiple followers and do all this stuff. And I honestly think you got to perfect what you are putting out there before you worry about growing your reach, because you're probably missing so many people that are already in your market right now. And then once you kind of perfect your message and you perfect your stories and you perfect your post, then you can start adding new people. And you always know that if you're adding somebody new to your page, they'll have a story to look at. They'll have some really great posts to look at. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. I make typos. I reuse stuff from a year ago that shows up that I'm like, oh, that's really good. So I always look at my memories first thing in the day. And then if I see something from somebody else that I get inspired by, I'll just repurpose it for myself. But I think just showing up is the key, and then talking about the things that are important to you is wonderful. Anybody have any questions? There's a lot more to social media, obviously. I just wanted to keep it very here's the basics to get you going. And then if you really want to dig in and Instagram is what you want to master next, of course, Beachbody Champions page has very specific trainings on Instagram stories. Look at Jatana Jackson's training. She's always awesome with that. It has very specific trainings on coaching invites and coaching calls to action and things like that. And I think that that's kind of the next level, but this is more just like, here's where you want to get started to take it to that next level and then perfect. No questions tonight?